Okay. Okay. What is your full name?
Jordan Samuel Bailinger.
And who were you named after, and what is your Hebrew name?
I don't know who I was named after, but my name is Yaakov Shlomo ben Chaim Nassan. Jacob Samuel, son of Nathan, because my dad was Nathan.
Oh, okay. And when and where were you born?
Born in Philadelphia in 1930.
What was your father and mother's occupation?
My father was in business, and my mother was a housewife.
How did they come to America?
How did they come to America? My dad came over with his parents in about the turn of the century, about 1900 or about at that time, because they were escaping persecution of the Jews in Russia by the Tsar. And it's a very interesting story. My grandfather escaped because he was tipped off by the police chief of his town and the drunkard of his town that there was going to be a riot against Jewish people to kill and murder them and rob. So he gathered up his family in a wagon and put all his kids under the straw in the wagon and went to the town where his in-laws lived. And from there, they came to the United States. But he wrote a book. He was a writer, unpublished, about all his experiences of what it was like growing up in Russia and what he thought about how Jews had to have a country of their own. And he was saying this even in the 1880s over in Russia. Because when he came to the United States, he was in his 30s. He was like getting into middle age. So he was a very interesting gentleman. And very much way ahead of his time in saying that we needed a Jewish state, which is now the state of Israel.
Okay. And where did you live as a child?
I lived mostly in Atlantic City, New Jersey. But my mother was born in the United States. Her mother and father, which were my grandparents, came from, my mother came from Warsaw, and my grandfather came from like Lithuania or something, that one of those other countries. Mm-hmm. And they met over here in a Jewish boarding house in Baltimore. See, when you came, like, I lived in a Jewish boarding house in Altoona when I first came to town. I don't know if you know what that is, what a Jewish boarding house is, what a boarding house is.
No.
A boarding house is where a family or a person or a lady has extra rooms in her house and she wants to earn some extra money so that she can have for her household, and she rents out rooms by the month, by the week, or probably by the month or by the couple of months or a year or whatever, and she also serves meals. So you can, either just buy the room or else you can have room and board. And that's called a boarding house because you board there. So my grandparents on my mother's side met in a boarding house, a Jewish boarding house in Baltimore. I lived in a Jewish boarding house here in Altoona, not far from where the synagogue is, for about a year or so, and then I got married and we got an apartment out on Pleasant Valley Boulevard across from the Veterans Hospital.
Okay. And do you have any special Jewish memories of like occasions or holidays?
When growing up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, certainly. The house was, we had a kosher house, and we lived in a diversified neighborhood of all types of people. And there were 3 kosher butcher shops in the area. Did you ever see a kosher butcher shop?
Uh-uh.
It's a meat market that only handles kosher beef and operates and runs by the Jewish laws of kashrut or kosher. It was very interesting. And in one of the stores, I I was a delivery boy, and they gave me 5 cents for each package I delivered. They didn't pay me any wages, just 5 cents for each bundle I delivered, with an extra bonus. And he showed me how to do it, that he allowed me to pick the chickens, to pick the feathers off the chickens. So that, and then he showed me how to singe it. He said you grab the chicken by the feet, and then you grab it by the head, and you hold it over this flame, and you turn the chicken to burn the feathers and the hair off it. And I thought that was fun. I was just a kid. I thought it was fun. So what's your next question? So it was great because it was a wonderful Jewish neighborhood, and we had, all the holidays, and I stayed off for a lot from school. If it was Passover, I didn't go to school on Passover, and I didn't go to school on this holiday. I mean, I may have been one or two of the only kids in class, but it was a Jewish holiday, and I don't care what the test was, we stayed home. Mm-hmm. You stood up for your religion, this stuff that, well, I got to go because there's a test and all that. You'll make up in the test. You're not going to flunk out of school, all this stuff you hear. Mm-hmm. So that's the story. What's next?
Okay. What is or was your occupation like when you were growing up?
Well, my first jobs are after I was married.
After you were married, I think.
Oh, after I was married. You don't want to hear about when I was a newspaper boy?
Okay.
I was a newspaper boy, and I worked in a tailor shop. Yeah. And the guy showed me how to brush the dust out of cuffs and how to press pants. Then I worked in a vegetable store, and I worked in the meat markets and in the kosher meat markets, and I worked at a soda fountain. Uh-huh. Then I drove a bread truck, and then I drove a milk wagon, a milk truck. Then I went to college. I was in college. So after I got married, I was a traveling salesman. I was brought to Altoona because of Puritan Sportswear. There's a big sportswear factory here in town. Mm-hmm. And that's what brought me to town, and we stayed here ever since.
Oh, okay. And so, yeah, that's how you came to Altoona then.
Yeah.
When you came to Altoona, was there a Jewish Memorial Center or a synagogue?
Was here? I mean,
Yeah.
Was it? Oh, absolutely, yeah. Now, the new part of the synagogue wasn't here. The part where the classrooms are.
Oh, yeah.
So that was an addition. Mm-hmm. But the Jewish Memorial Center was very active. They had volleyball up there and basketball and bowling downstairs. It was a great place to get together. It was a lot of fun.
Do you know why the JMC was built and who built it?
The Jewish Memorial Center was built by the Jews of Altoona so that there would be a place for the Jewish kids to get together.
Okay.
But when it was built, it was also dedicated to the community. It just wasn't for a place for Jewish kids. It was open to everybody in Altoona, and today it is the only community center in Altoona. The only one.
Oh, okay. And I heard that you had a VW bus.
Yeah, I did. Oh, it was wonderful. Wonderful. It was like driving a little bus. It was fun. Didn't go very fast. And the kids loved it.
Yeah. So, what did the Hebrew school kids think of that?
What was the Hebrew school like when I went to Hebrew school?
No, what did the Hebrew school kids think of your VW bus?
They never really told me. I think they kept it private among themselves.